join me in welcoming Aaron Moore.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Woo! So, you all saw the magician. I'm also a little bit of a magician myself. Like, we take old furniture like this, and then we could do, we bring it back to life, and abracadabra, we could restore furniture and make it look beautiful again. So I said, welcome to the art of furniture refinishing live. So, this is the first time I've ever been up here on stage. I'm going to be looking at these notes quite a bit. I talked to hundreds of thousands of people on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, but a couple hundred people walking through today, a little nerve-wracking. So, I'm here to take you on a journey today of furniture restoration and finding my happy in a career that they call a lost art. Some of you may know who I am, like the woman right here who gave birth to me, and the one right here that made me a dad to 3 little kids sitting in the front row. To everyone else, I'm Aaron Moore. I've been restoring furniture for over 20 years now. Why would you believe what I'm saying up here today? That's a great question if you guys don't know who I am. I've restored thousands of pieces of furniture like this. I've produced hundreds of hours of internet content, YouTube channel videos, everything along those lines. And we've had pieces sitting in museums, clients' homes in values of $10,000, $20,000. The most expensive piece we've restored is about a $180,000 piece of furniture. So we don't do, we're known for this type of stuff in our shop. It wasn't always like this for me. The love of woodworking, it started at a very young age, like most boys. I was always working with my dad on projects over, skateboard ramps, school projects. I remember an old, like a gold mine rocking, till, I forget what they call it. We built that in the 3rd grade. And we leveled up to a patio deck off of their master bedroom. Leveled up from there. I started, when it wasn't the wood projects, we were working on cars in the driveway, taking something that was broken, figuring out what was wrong with it, and then getting it back on the road again. Before I started helping my dad, they would always call him "Do It Again, Ken," because he would always have to do the projects multiple times. All of these things led up to middle school wood shop, which my school still had at 10, 12 years old. Although it was just an introduction to some basic builds, it prepped me for what was to come in high school. I grew up just up the road in Yorba Linda and went to a high school called Esperanza High. I was lucky enough to have a school that had a wood shop because we knew that they were slowly starting to get rid of all of those things. The teacher, his name was Mr. Moses, or who we called Mo for short. I think I had to skip a year after my freshman year to do real school like chemistry, history, all of writing, all of those kind of things. But when we came back junior year, that's when all the stars started to align with furniture building in high school. I took the advanced class, and this is where the passion started to kick in. I was building things above the advanced level class with my teacher's guidance, of course. And in my senior year, I had it set up that I had 3 periods that were wood shop, 1 period that was soccer. And needless to say, it was very easy to get a 4.0 GPA that year. In my senior year also. In my senior year, I was, let me go through. I was building a lot of things, nothing of this nature, but we were building entertainment centers, wall units, lounge chairs, things like that for teachers, friends, family, the school principal. Some of them might have called me, some friends would have called me a teacher's pet back then, but I also called myself an entrepreneur with big dreams for my future. Like many of us, I knew college wasn't for me at 18 years old, at least not right out of high school. I didn't want to take a loan and just waste my time and my parents' money to go to college just to party. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life yet. I knew I wanted to work with my hands in some way, being a contractor, a builder, even a mechanic. I like working on cars. But now looking back, that was probably the best decision at 18 years old I made not going to college. In wood shop, I was basically spraying light finishes, and they had a little spray booth. And I had a friend whose dad who owned a furniture piano restoration company, and he was in need of a young apprentice. I was 17 at the time. I graduated high school and got to work, I think, 1 week after graduation. I thought I could give it a shot, not knowing what refinishing was, but I knew I wanted to work with my hands, so let's just start there. I started working on pianos, and getting the chance to see a restoration from start to finish was a thrill, especially when they were $60,000 to $80,000 pianos, and that was just the beginning for us working on high-end pieces of furniture. You know, learning this craft took a lot of time, definitely a lot of frustration, because working on pianos, you needed perfection. There was no room for error. A customer would notice a flaw in a $10,000 piano restoration. They wouldn't pay you for it at the end. So I was kind of whipped into shape to do perfect restorations, you know, every time. You know, and then I said, we'll go probably, what was it? I think it was 5 years at this shop. I still felt like something was missing. I really wanted to own my own business at one point. My parents even supported this dream in high school and got me a contractor's clipboard with my first business name called ATM Woodworking, which are my initials, which I have right here with me today. The ATM is gone, but it's still sitting here. But this thing here is probably 24 years old now. During this time, about 5 years in, I was being approached by a veteran refinisher in the area, Garden Grove to be specific, who wanted me to take over his business of 30 plus years. $50,000, $40,000, $30,000 with payments were all offers he gave me, but at 21, 22 years old, he might as well told me $1 million. This man's name was Butch Crane, and he saw something in me that I really don't think I saw in myself at 21 years old. He was getting close to his retirement, and he wanted to go fishing all day in his property in, I think it was Missouri. Let's see. I think the biggest thing he wanted, because he'd been doing this for 30 plus years, is somebody to take care of all of his customers in the refinishing world that he's worked on locally for the last 30 years. And he knew that I was a good guy. I was young, but I knew what I was doing, and I would treat his customers with respect. After a couple of years, he finally came to me with this offer. I'm leaving in 1 month, $5,000, the shop's yours. I mean, at 23 years old, I still didn't know, I didn't have that kind of cash sitting around to start a business. You know, the deposits, the first, last month's rent, all of the things that went along with that. And I went to the one place that I knew I could always go, my mom and dad. There was no hesitation at this point. They said they had their college money sitting around and that they would give it to me to start a business. Now here I am, 23 years old, a new business, definitely a lot of self-doubt, asking myself, how am I gonna make this work? Who is gonna trust a 23-year-old kid with their family heirloom or their even high-end piece of furniture like the ones I have up here today? So let's fast forward through all the struggles, like the 18-hour work days, weekends, working at the shop, not partying with my friends, doing all the other fun things. I even was sleeping on the floor in the shop at times with furniture blankets because I was too tired to drive home. You know, I even like to make it a point that I tell people, especially starting out, when the jobs weren't coming in, money was tight. I made a decision with my finances that I had a truck repossessed. I knew that keeping the rent paid at this location was going to be the best thing for me, except, instead of having a brand new truck. Easier said than done though, right? Like, you get your car repoed in front of you, it's not fun. But now, here we are, 15 and a half years later. We're still in business, we're thriving, and we're one of the biggest well-known refinishing shops kind of across the California and across the US as well. So why am I up here today? I bet you're asking that. Well, in 2015, I got a call from a local resale store who specialized in mid-century modern design. The TV show was Mad Men at the time, if all of you knew that show, and everyone wanted this type of furniture to go inside of their homes or their offices. I turned one store into two into four, and so on, and eventually we were the go-to refinishing shop across Southern California. We never cut corners, we never cheated clients, but we only did the best work possible for every customer. We would have some clients go to other refinishers at times, but they would always come back because our work the quality was never the issue, it was the time. We had a long backlog. Well, if anything, I only got better over time, so the pieces definitely got better for them as well. I like to say a lot, quality sells pieces for top dollar for my furniture dealers. Think about it like this, if one of my dealers had a rare piece, say like this chair here, they want to sell this one for max profit. And you're sitting around your store, a customer walks in, they're going to say, okay, there's one little scratch underneath here, or maybe it has a dent, somebody bumped into it. What they're going to do is that the person's going to come out and tell you, hey, I want a discount on this chair. Usually they're cheap, they don't want to spend the money. They're trying to find a little way to get a little bit of a discount. I've seen it all through all the dealers. And now with the quality that we do, we try to make it so perfect that when you spin a chair around, there's nothing wrong with it anywhere. So that way my dealers could sell their pieces of furniture for top dollar. There's no room for them to ask a discount. Every piece that comes into my shop, it looks like these chairs here. Dents, scratches, this one here is missing hardware, and it's missing a bunch of screws up underneath the arms here that's all wobbling. But the bones of this chair are really good. They're solid. This one's actually been sitting in our living room for about the last 3 weeks. It's a really comfortable chair. Let's see. But all these different pieces tell a different story. I remember a 1750s clock that we worked on that was older than our country. It was before the war. 250 years old, and this old clock was full of smoke damage due to a house fire, and it almost went up in flames. From there, we see pieces like this. We see antiques that are older than the country, and I deal with people who build furniture across Southern California who bring brand new pieces of furniture and have us finish them. Well, I wonder, a lot of you are wondering why I still do this. It's definitely the clients who trust me with family heirlooms. Some of them may not see, some pieces that we see may not have a high monetary value, but they're treasured pieces, and the family memories are worth more than money themselves. We've had many happy tears shed inside of my shop. The one that comes to mind right now is this lady that was in her 80s. She had this antique secretary that was layered in about 7 layers of paint, but she remembers there was something underneath really nice. She had memories of this antique desk at 5 years old sitting at her grandmother's house. So it says that this is an old piece of furniture. 2 months go by in the shop, this piece got finished up, and she turns the corner into the shop, instantly sees her little desk sitting there, and instant tears start flowing, thinking that it's the best piece that she's ever seen, and remember the things from 75 years earlier with her grandmother. That's one of them. Another one we had was similar to this as well. Another woman in her 70s and a piano that they had taken across the world. They were part of the Peace Corps, and they took it to every country and every city that they lived around the world. Finally, they're retired, settled down in La Habra, and they wanted to bring this piano back to life. Another 40 hours, sawdust everywhere, my hands filthy as always, covered in stain, sawdust, finish basically, and we finally got this piano looking better than new. But she sat down on this piano, and the tears took a little bit longer for this customer, and she started playing a song, and I don't remember what song it was, but she started just bawling her eyes out with the biggest smile on her face. This is definitely the reason I still love what I do today. So every piece that comes into my shop, like mentioned, gets the full treatment. We strip it down, we disassemble everything, take all the upholstery off, take every piece of hardware off, so this goes down to the raw bones. We strip it, we sand it, we do the repairs, steam out scratches, and clean hardware, put a stain on it, and make it look basically like this again. Definitely sounds easy when I say it, but after 20 years, like I said, it just is common nature for me and my shop. Last week, Ivan and I, my employee, went out to Las Vegas for a convention called the AWFS convention. It's a large convention for woodworkers, and it stands for the Association of Woodworking and Finishing Suppliers. This technology that's coming out is unreal. The robots, the conveyor belts, the automation. It's the biggest message I see online are people saying that robots and AI are going to take away from woodworking. And I definitely think they may be right if you're a generic cabinet builder, assembly line furniture kind of builder. But the one thing I saw is that finishers like me and restoration artisans are very hard to replace. You definitely need to find a niche and become super custom with your work. Then once you find that niche and be the best at that skill, achieve the highest quality, and then you could brand yourself as the best in that market and take those skills anywhere around the country or even anywhere around the world. This is definitely how you're going to save yourself from robots and AI, at least for a little while. What I've seen is there's no machine that can replace my eye, my instinct, or the story behind the piece of furniture, and that's where the real value is, and that's what my customers will always pay for in the end. I bet a lot of you, there's a lot of family here, but there's a lot of new eyes, don't know that I shouldn't be standing up here today. Just about 3 years ago in September, I narrowly dodged a full widowmaker heart attack. Post-heart attack, I went through a lot of internal thinking. I like to say that refinishing furniture can be very therapeutic. You can get lost in your thoughts thinking about music or listening to music, podcast, or even just the hum of the sander can be kind of therapeutic. And at that time, I think it was the best thing for me and my soul. As stated recently in the LA Times feature article, what would have happened with all of my knowledge if I would have died that day? At this point, it was over 18 years of knowledge that would have lacked, or that would have just vanished literally in a heartbeat, or the lack of my heart beating. Just days after the heart attack, I got to work figuring out how I could do this. This was when my friend, now best friend, good friend, Anastasia, which she can't be here today, she's sitting here on the phone right now on Instagram. We call her AP for short. She had messaged me a couple times online, wanted to come in and learn this craft in person. She wanted to go to one of the best refinishers and bring it back to, bring it to herself, so she wanted to start figuring out how to do this herself at home. She would come in, I would teach her how to do the restorations, and then she would use her skills, which she was a high-end photographer, and take photos of me working, which is going to be sitting inside this book right here. After the heart attack, before the heart attack, I had postponed on her twice. I was just too busy. I never could make time to do things that I needed to do or wanted to do. I only had time to work on furniture, get customer stuff out, and then do stuff with the family. But finally, after the heart attack, I had her set on the calendar 5 days after my heart attack, and I didn't want to postpone on her again. Something had changed in me after coming home from that short hospital stay. I kept her on my schedule and got to teaching her that Monday. She came into my life at the perfect time because she was also the world-class marketer, and I had a lot of questions about my future. AP came into my shop that day and realized we needed way more than 8 hours to learn the skills to do this type of work. So we kept the conversation going over the last few months, and I had some ideas with writing a book. She had some ideas with video courses, which were huge at that time. So she told me that I needed to sit down, write a script, and do all of that before committing to filming for me. So every night after my kids would go to bed, and at that point we only had 2, I'd stay at the computer typing all the steps in this furniture refinishing process. This was a passion project for me now. I knew I had to put my knowledge into something, so I was still scared a little bit of what if I had another heart attack and I would die. I needed to have my information somewhere. This goes on for about 6 months, falling asleep at the computer screen, tired mornings. I was on a good run and didn't want to go to bed till about 1 in the morning, but I finally had this script done and ready for print. One day she comes, says, "Hey, it'll probably just be easier to write a book instead of all of the filming." I agreed, not knowing that we had another year left for writing this book right here. I couldn't find a layout that I liked. I didn't want a cookbook or just a generic styled piece of artwork. I wanted something different because we do different, we do high-end work here inside of our shop. Like right here in my hands is the first book that we had printed. Let's see. So it has every step in the furniture refinishing process: disassembly, stripping, sanding, labeling everything. Literally everything in my brain was in this book. We wrote it in the sense so we wrote it with the idea in mind that Anastasia was student number 1, and that she asks me questions along the entire process. just as you as the reader would be asking me how to refinish a piece of furniture, this has it in that kind of style from start to finish. There are going to be a lot of questions you have during this learning curve, but I figured out, like I said, that was definitely the best way to do it, acting like someone was sitting next to me in my shop. Finally, all my knowledge in my hands, but I didn't think I was done yet. I knew that there was something more for me in this career, and I didn't want to just become a book salesman. With the decline of tradesmen and people who work with their hands these days, I knew I had to do something about it, especially because this craft was so niche and people called this a dying art. Old timers in the industry were retiring and getting out of this business. In a matter of a few years, I was the old timer at 37 years old. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but the craftsmen that were the original craftsmen, the people I learned from, wouldn't teach you everything as an apprentice. Think of it like this. It's the 1900s, maybe around 1990, and you teach me all of your tricks, tips, the techniques, even the stores where you buy from, and then I quit. As it goes, I would start my own business, I wouldn't leave the area, and I would be instant competitors with my boss in the Yellow Pages era. Not good for his business, right? That's kind of what happened here too, is I'm 5 miles from the shop that I started at. This was true across the country and around the world. I speak to a lot of refinishers online and do across Europe, Asia, Australia, and they have the same thing too, that the old timers don't want to tell them these things. Now, 2025, I'm teaching everyone the secrets of refinishing. I think there needs to be more of me out there. My goal now is to teach the next generation of refinishers with my skills to help them collapse time and hopefully become a better refinisher than me in a shorter amount of time. It's definitely needed today, the people that are working with their hands. I want to definitely help people find their happy in furniture restoration. Doctors, lawyers, accountants, like white collar business professionals, they message me on Instagram all the time saying they want to quit their job, they want to get into woodworking and follow their passion, but they don't know how to do it. That's why I'm here. I make a lot of content online so that way these people can find me and I could tell them how I did it so they could follow their dreams just as I did. What's the difference between a finisher and refinisher? And we get this from people online all the time. A finisher is, think of them as a painter. You can take a new build, a new table, a new chair, do light repairs, light sanding, maybe stain it and spray it. You're going to be just fine with those skills. It definitely is still easier said than done. It definitely takes a lot of time to master those skills alone, but a refinisher, or what I call myself, a restoration artisan, is that we know how to take an old piece of furniture, strip it down, remove the 50, 100, even 200-year-old finish off this. We also know how to sand it and repair it so we don't ruin the integrity of this piece. Take these chairs for examples, all three of them. These were built in the 60s or 70s, way back in the 1900s. They were made from a molded plywood. Let's see if we can see it. It's made from like a molded plywood that's bent, and in these corners here, if you strip it and sand it with some heavy grit sandpaper, you're going to sand through these edges really fast. And as a homeowner, you're not going to know what to do. This piece of furniture may just go in the trash, end up in the landfill. You won't believe how many times I've seen customers do this exact thing and then come to me to ask them to fix the veneer on their piece of furniture. I've even seen a bunch of people, a lot of customers, tighten chairs with about a dozen screws, just screw them in from all corners. And it's not that they're doing something wrong, it's that they don't know how to do it right. And that's because the information hasn't been out there until now. I bet a lot of you are wondering why we have these 3 chairs up here today. And at first glance, a lot of you may think that they're worth $30,000 of chairs sitting here. And I wish they were, because I'd be selling them right now. But these are a Eames style chair, which we restore Eames chairs in our shop. It seems like every week, every month, we see these in the shop all the time. And we could sell them for around $10,000 to $15,000, depending on what generation and what type of wood they're out of. Charles and Ray Eames made really amazing furniture, And so many people complain that these are called copycats, but they're just chairs that were attributed to their great style. You know, so up here today, the one here in the center that's been fully restored, and the one here on my right, they're both a plycraft chair made by a designer named George Molhauser. And if you, and then the one over here is a rosewood chair, and this one's one of my favorites personally, because it's the closest copycat to the Eames. It is made of rosewood, even though it doesn't really look like it from now. I'll spin it around so you guys can see it. But it's very rare to see the furniture built like that. I mean, how can you guys tell that they're not Eames chairs? So on this one here, the biggest sign is that there are some screws up underneath. It may be hard to see on camera, but there's screws underneath. But this has every other style from the Eames chair. It has the round mounts on the back, the shock mounts. Even the pillar post is the same shape. It has 5 legs, adjustable sliders, but the only thing is that there's a metal connection that connects it here. The Molhauser chairs are a little bit different, and we'll showcase this one. This one has a lot more screws when you look around the outside. It's all screwed together with metal brackets. You see screws exposed on the backside here, and then it also has 4 legs. It does not have that 5th leg on the center base. And I said that's one of the biggest signs on that one, is that all these screws are exposed. The Eames chairs are iconic because there are no visible screws anywhere, but they use something called a shock mount that goes up underneath that connects the 2 points. But those are very common to fail. They come into our shop all the time. We get lucky that they don't snap the arms off, because someone sits in them and it could snap right off and break, ruining their $10,000 or $12,000 chair. Every piece we do leaves in better than new condition, but these pieces definitely don't start that way. Like I said, this one here is really rough. The leather has been ripped. Somebody put a little bit of duct tape or Gorilla Tape on it, and it definitely looks like it had been sitting outside for a little while. The rust is building up on the base, and this one here, I don't even want to sit in it, but it rocks really easily, and it's really easy to want to tip over. Something in the mechanism underneath is broken, and it's like I can't wait to take this one back to the shop, tear it apart, and see how it's how it's broken on the inside. And then so this one here, I was already showing you before, but this one's missing a bunch of screws, which also makes it very scary to sit in at times, because it still wants to rock. But like I said, we take it apart. You do the same steps that we do following it here in the book, and you can have a chair that looks as beautiful as this. This is walnut. We went through this chair completely. We cleaned all of the metal, polished it. It's nothing I could show all of you here today, but we cleaned, painted every single screw, every little piece of metal got repainted black, all the leather got upholstered and redone. And as you can see here, this one here, we could definitely go for around $4,000 for sale on like a big website, First Dibs, some of the iconic big dealers. And if you want a little bit of a discount, you can talk to me after, and I can sell it to you and just let you guys take it home. And then this chair, I think a lot of people want to know, like, how long does it take to do these restorations? This one here took me, in my shop, about 8 hours to do, from tear down to reassembly. And then it went over to the upholstery shop, which is located in Laguna Beach. And it spent about another 8 hours with him total from start to finish. And the guy's name is Luis over at Universal Upholstery. If you guys are local and you want to go see him, he's one of the best guys in the area. He owns the shop that he owns now is a multi-generational. I believe his grandfather started it, his dad worked there, and now he's running it. Just said same thing, that maybe one day my kids will do the same in my shop. I bet you didn't know that with these skills, you don't have to get into furniture restoration. There are so many companies that you could start out there. I've had all of these ideas myself. You could be a flooring refinisher. Maybe you could get into staircases, kitchens. I've seen guys online specialize in front doors and garage doors, and that's all they do. The one that I wanted to specialize in early on, when things were tight in the shop and the overhead was a little heavy to keep up with, is become a touch-up specialist. Go out there, take your toolbox with you, go to a customer's home, a dealer, a store, and just do repairs all day. get paid the same day, drive away, go to the next customer, and then have no overhead, no shop rent, nothing, nothing to maintain. That would definitely be a good one to get started if you want to get into refinishing with as little overhead as possible. And then talking online, all these influencers that tell people to make a good living, you need to solve rich people problems. I had talked to this one guy online, and he definitely nailed just that. He repairs wood on private jets and yachts. I said that would definitely be something that solves that issue there. And if you want to learn how to get into this skill, how to get me to teach you how to follow along, first thing I would do is follow me on social media. We produce, like I said, hundreds of hours of content, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of the above. And especially this one right here, we finished up a 5-part series on YouTube from start to finish on this chair. And technically this is the unveiling here today. So no one online has actually seen this chair completed yet. Once you're ready to dive in and invest in your future of furniture refinishing or finishing in general, I'd definitely recommend ordering a copy of my refinishing guide. I have condensed close to 20 years of knowledge into this 240-page book. These are the things that my mentors would not want you guys to have, and that I'm going a different route because it's a different time these days. Woodworkers are dying, they're starting to age out, and people my age don't want to get into it. And people younger still aren't even into it either. We also have a couple different communities online. One is free. I make a bunch of videos you guys won't find on YouTube. It's an introduction to refinishing. We show you the chemicals that we use, the materials, all the specialty tools. Think of it more of like a refinishing 101. And then once you're ready to start the intermediate class, like I did where I started learning the passion for this skill, I have a paid masterclass community. And in this community right now, I think we have close to 50 videos, and we're aiming to do 100 videos in the next couple of months before we actually launch it to the public. I want there to be an absurd amount of knowledge inside of this community. So when you get in there and you just cannot believe that I'd be giving all of these tips and tricks and skills away. We see so much furniture going through my shop that there always will be something new, and we're going to be producing all of these videos on this private member group. On top of all of that, we've done a lot more on my website. We have a bunch of downloadables that we call cheat sheets, things like what colors to match, stain cans, what specialty tools. I made an estimate tracker that my father-in-law right here helped me many, many years ago track the shop, and I wanted to give that to a lot of other people so that way you could follow make sure that your business is making money, that you're making a profit and not just working to pay the bills. We can find everything there at reviveandrefine.com. And then I want to thank one more person, is my right-hand guy, Ivan, which is out here in the back. He's been working with me in the shop for about the last 10 years. He can vouch for all of these teaching skills. He now knows over 90% of what I know, and maybe a little bit more, and we'll test him next week when we get back to work. He's the man also behind the camera, as you guys see. So when you see my online content and you see an awesome video, it's that guy right back there. Let me bring this full circle. A few years ago, I almost didn't make it. That heart attack could have changed everything for me. My business, my craft, my role as a dad. But something shifted in me at that moment. I realized it wasn't just about furniture refinishing anymore. I was building a legacy, not just for the clients or the collectors, but for my kids, for the people who come after me, and for anyone that's searching for something more meaningful than their 9-to-5 that they can't stand working anymore. Finishing gave me that. It gave me my happy, and it can definitely give you yours too. Whether you're restoring furniture, building with your hands, or finally listening to that creative itch that you guys have ignored for way too long. This craft definitely has taught me patience, discipline, purpose. My wife likes to make fun of me because I sit around and watch paint dry. But most importantly, it gave me time with my family and definitely prepared me for the patience needed to become a parent, now to 3 children. My goal isn't to restore furniture anymore. It's to help restore people. If I could teach them this skill, give them a path, and help them find their happy, then the heart attack wasn't just a setback. It was a wake-up call to do something that actually makes a difference in this world. The satisfaction I feel like still to this day of seeing a piece of furniture like this that I've restored with my two hands is one of the most rewarding feelings that I get every single day. And I hope that it's the feeling that you guys can get to experience one day too, knowing that you could do something along these natures. If there is time for any more questions, Sam, or if there's any questions, like
So I have a quick question.
Yeah.
We'll have time for maybe 2 or 3, just we're almost at our time. But in looking at a piece, obviously you talked about finding your copy and how you found yours, and not only refurnishing, finishing, but finding ways to better yourself, better homes, teach others how to better things. In a piece, what you look for, what has good bones? What do you look for when you say it has good bones?
Well, mainly the biggest thing would be that, particle board is one of the biggest bad words in the industry. But the stuff in the mid-century modern world, a lot of the European stuff, the Danish stuff, that furniture was made in particle board in the 50s and the 60s. They were already changing things before the US was. So I said, you can't say that it has to have good bones. It has to be made out of real wood or plywood, because some of the Danish furniture that we see is so well built that when you close a drawer, another drawer will open, because the drawer, the lines are so tight and it's so precise that you can, it's just the craftsmanship. It doesn't matter what it's built out of. But good bones is, especially in this world, you want to find something in that mid-century world, mid-century modern furniture. If you want an antique, if you want something from the late 1800s, it doesn't have a high value anymore. It's not going to resell for something along this line today. But it's still, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, really. If somebody wants that antique that's from the 1800s, like I mentioned earlier, that 1750s clock, that one there would, it was a family heirloom that had been passed down for generations, and it doesn't matter what kind of bones it has, the memories are more important. Yeah.
So it's nice to know that not only is it worth, value, but sentimental value as well.
100%, 100%.
Any question? I see.
Hey. Oh, yes. Oh, like the Monaco? So what I'm using, so in California, they have dumbed down the quality of the finishes dramatically. And we say, once they go to zero VOC completely, we might have to leave the state, or at least buy it out of state and get it shipped in for at least a little while. But all of this stuff here, this one, we use a high-end lacquer from Mohawk. So we use what they call is their Finisher's Choice lacquer. That's the one we prefer, but they have a few other ones that we've used over the years. I just like this because it's the most universal for repairs, doing it again, 10, 15 years down the line. I'm at the point now that customers of mine will bring something back to me that I did 10, 12 years ago, and they want to have it redone. And if I put a material on that won't come off, then I'm almost doing myself a disservice that I can't remove it, then I can't refinish that piece for them again. But with the Rubio and a lot of the 2Ks, a lot of that's really great for kitchens or homeowner application. I don't prefer the Rubio just because it's a wipe-on oil, and I have fixed probably dozens of pieces of furniture from Restoration Hardware, Pottery Barn. All of those have a finished wax or an oil top coat, and customers bring it in because the first day they own it, they put a cup on it and it gets a ring. So I said, everything has a pro and a con. Varnishes are great, polyurethanes are great, but just for my shop and what we do with the mid-century modern furniture, we have the formulas mixed. We have them down to a T, which is also inside of the book. All these ratios that we make to get this. And I get a lot of my customers come in and say, oh, I was at this dealer down the street. I want that same oiled finish. Well, when they see it, they think that it's an oiled finish that's on there because of the luster, the same sheen that we put on, and basically get that same look that's almost not quite dead flat, but it's what we call it. This is 3%, so we have it doled down to a 3%. And what did you think of the stuff in Vegas? All those robots, all the AI. Oh, I know. Yeah, just all the big machines out there coming out today. Yeah. 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 Well, this Ivan and I, we were there last week, and it's the same thing. I showed the book to every person that we interviewed, and they said there's nothing on the market like that. Like, it's a tell-all book. Nobody there was talking about restorations. They were talking about new production, mass production, how to make furniture or cabinetry for cheaper and quicker. And obviously, because manpower and working with your hands, like, they can't find workers, they're going to automation. But I said, with doing stuff like this, every piece is a little bit different. This chair, slightly different than this chair. Like, so there was a really cool, there was a robot there from a company called Surf Prep, and it had a dual head sander, but it was using AI to read the door, and it knew what shape the door was and knew how to sand inside at a certain pattern. Hopefully, we said we get the content, we'll put that up on YouTube, because the stuff that they were doing there at Surf Prep with this machine is going to take sanding away from all of even the mass production cabinet shops, furniture shops, especially with the AI and the cameras reading everything. It's like I said, it was definitely an unreal thing. It was our first time going in 20 years. So, one more follow. I can't hear him. Yeah. 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 Agreed. Yeah. And that's what I think. It's for mass production. You know, the automation, people building. I said you saw a lot of them was large cabinet shops, people building boxes for kitchens, vanities, you know, things along that nature. But you also saw, I saw some of them that were building really cool chairs live, you know, there, but they weren't anything like this. I mean, you're putting a lot of different media together. This with steel, chrome, you know, plastic, leather, wood. I mean, there's a lot of parts to this puzzle that, you know, one machine cannot produce, you know, at least yet. You know, so it may get out there, or you source it from everyone else. But I said it's also the style. It's finding something with the character of these, like I said, the Eames, all of the big names from that era. You're seeing people trying to reproduce that even in like the big stores today. It's just family heirlooms. That's the biggest thing that we see, you know, at the shop with memories. People don't care what it costs to restore furniture when it was theirs at 5 years old, or, you know, something they took around the world with them. But it's like pieces like these are my personal ones. We bought them for this exhibit today. We restored this one for today. But I go, people want to buy this stuff now versus, except the times have changed. Like 10 years ago, this wasn't the hot thing. Antiques were still like popular. We were restoring probably 3 times as much antiques than we were anything modern. But then we can get to, you know, I said it's just the mass production side of it. I guess I'm kind of curious where it's going to go, but it's still interesting to see it all in person for the first time in 20 years. Yeah.
So we've reached just about in our time. So before we let you go, where can these lovely people find you next?
Biggest one is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. That's where we're going to go. Find me online, mooresrefinishing.com or reviveandrefine.com. We have 2 different businesses, one for the refinishing and one for the online teaching.
Well, before we let him go, I want to let you folks know Aaron was an esteemed judge for here in our woodworking competition. So if you want to go take a look at that exhibit over in Visual Arts behind me, those are lovely things to see. But this stage in particular is part of our contests and competitions under the culinary division. And we know this isn't quite culinary, but we still want to award you a blue ribbon for your demonstration.
Thank you.
Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. Let's give him one more round of applause. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Folks, he'll be available for a few questions if you have them. I do have a couple business cards available. Those are also available for pickup over at the culinary info desk and as well as the visual arts building if you want to take a gander in there, enjoy a little bit of air conditioning and see some lovely art. Otherwise, stick around for 6 p.m., the magic of Frank Thurston, and then at 7 p.m., we're going to have a pie eating contest on this stage. Knott's Berry Farm's boysenberry pies, and you may even win some tickets to that fair card. Stick around, folks. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Your blue ribbon, sir.
Oh, thank you. I'm like, that's why I was like, you said that was in my pocket. I go, I don't want to sit down with it.
It's okay. You did great. You're pacing was wonderful.
No, you're good.
And then it's gonna come off like a Band-Aid really fast.
Yep.
Stay for a second.
You're good. Sweaty enough that it broke, that it was easy enough to come off. Hey, what's up, bub? Hi. Oh, do you see me on stage?
Yeah, what is that?
A microphone.